Back on Skyhawk Talk, Coach Jason James joins us. We're talking UT Martin men's basketball. But first, there's a little girl over here. And I remember last year at this time, you were kind of making an announcement on the radio. A lot has changed since then, Coach.
Yeah, a lot has changed. She's about 8 months old. She's her record's 1-1. She saw us beat TSU. We got beat by Tech, so she's 500. Got a better record than I do right now. But
she's cute.
Yeah, she's cute. I don't know where she came from, but I have to ask Danny, my wife, every day if she's sure she's mine, because she looks very, very cute. Looks a lot like Danny.
How have you changed since becoming a dad?
I think at home I don't let as much stuff get to me as I did before I had Sadie, or we had Sadie. I think at home I'm a lot more relaxed, a lot more laid back, just kind of go with it. You know, we're always picking something up or putting something away. And before last year, I think I was a little more on edge. But since I've had her, I've kind of mellowed a little bit. I have to. You have no choice.
So it's grounded you, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, to an extent, I would say that, especially at home. You know, it's a lot about. I leave the office and I try to leave stuff at the office now, so I can be focused for Danny and Sadie. And just at home, I try to be daddy and husband, not coach. But boy, that's hard sometimes.
Yeah, but I agree with you because everything matters, but when you have a little one, that really matters.
Yeah, it matters, and what you learn is that she doesn't care how bad we were at practice or how good we were. I mean, when I walk in the door, she could care less. She crawls over and she gets to smiling and flapping those arms, and so to her, we've won every game, and every practice has been good.
Awesome. She'll be at most of the games this year?
I hope so. With that kind of record, we got to get her out the game. Being 500, we can't afford for her to miss too many of them.
Coach, let's talk about the team this year. And first of all, let's start out with some newcomers. Who are some of the new guys on the Skyhawks that we're going to learn? And I even need to know how to say a couple of names on here, potentially. Yeah.
That's a first. You usually know how to say those names. I'm surprised you didn't. You haven't practiced those
I
yet.
just want to make sure. I'm just glad to know that I get to say Andre Razabal in the starting lineup.
Yeah, a couple more years you get to say Dre. Well, first I want to say I'm excited for our first show. It's always our inaugural show is always exciting. I'm gonna start a countdown this year. This is 1, and then next week I'll just 2, 3, see how many we can get to, just to have fun with it. I enjoy having fun with you, Chris.
Number 1. Thank you, Coach.
We've got 6 new guys we're really excited about. 3 of them are junior college players. 3 of them are high school freshmen. Eli York from California, and then Jeremy Washington and Corderio Macklin both came from Connor State Community College. Those are all post players, 4s and 5s for us. Corderio's our biggest. Jeremy's next biggest. Corderio 6'8", 240. Jeremy 6'7", about 230, and then Eli 6'7", about 215, 220. And they give us a lot more depth in the post. That's something we didn't have last year. You know, speaking of Andres, man, he was the lone gunman down there.
That's right. Yeah.
Now we've got more guys to throw down there at different times. And our freshmen, we have a big one from Little Rock, Arkansas, Miles Taylor at 6'7", about 250. Again, we can throw him down on the block and give teams different looks. Most of those guys can play inside, a little outside, and we can mix some stuff up just to throw different things at teams. And from a newcomer standpoint, we have 2 more newcomers, Christian Taylor and Martez Harris. Christian's from Akron, Ohio, and Martez is from Louisville. Both of them are guards. Christian's kind of a combo. Martez is kind of a wing. Both of them are tough. Christian's got a great feel, good understanding, still learning the speed of our game, but got a chance to be good. And Martez is along the same lines of an old Louisville favorite, Jeremy Kelly, and his toughness.
Yeah.
He shoots a little better than J.K. J.K. was a little taller. There aren't as many antics off the floor as J.K. may have had, but J.K. was a good player, a good person for us, and Martez is definitely a good person, and he's going to be a heck of a player for us.
You know, it's exciting to me, too, and I'm going to compliment you, but in your history of finding talent, you're pretty successful. And I've been to a couple of practices just to see what these guys look like, and it's the Jason James model, very athletic and very skilled basketball players.
We've been very fortunate. Coach Dudley and Coach Jackson have done a good job of kind of finding talent and identifying it and being able to get those guys on campus here, and our players have done a good job of getting them done. And I think all of the players we have now are genuinely our guys. They're all tough. They're athletic. They're bigger than we were last year. You know, a lot of them some of them are the same size at 6'7", 6'6", but they all do different things. And that's the kind of team I like. I like that versatility, and we definitely have it.
Coach, Mike Leibo was involved in an automobile accident this past summer. How is he?
Mike's actually doing very well.
Good.
He hasn't missed a day of practice. He's been there every day. He's worked hard. He still limps a little bit, but I don't think it's because of his injury. I just think it's because of Mike. I mean, I think that's part of his swag, I guess is what the kids say nowadays. But he's been playing well. His jump shot's been the same. He's actually got back down to his playing weight, so he's just as quick. He still has trouble guarding people, but that's kind of to be expected from Mike, and we're working on that. But he looks very, very well for having an injury back in May.
How about some of the other returning players? Who needs to step up for you this year, Coach?
We're counting on Troy and Terrence. Those guys had a great end to the year of last year, and coming into this year, we're really going to lean on those guys for some leadership and for some scoring. Troy's slimmed down. He's worked on his ball handling. He's able to play out on the floor a lot more than he did last year, and Terrence has just gotten better. I mean, he's put on about 10 pounds of muscle, and he's getting to the rim with more authority. He's making shots. I mean, you'll notice a difference in Terrence Smith when we start playing of how good he has become. And so we'll count on those guys a lot. And Amari and Chris, we'll count on them to take care of the ball. I mean, that's very important for our offense, especially. And we'll count on those guys a lot for a lot of minutes.
How about Dane Smith, who really seems to be stoic and coming on this year?
I've been really, really excited about Dane and his leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been there every day. He's finished first in most of our conditioning sprints. In most of our drills, he's the first one to step up and kind of demonstrate for the new guys. I've just enjoyed being around him and his maturation process. To see Dane where he is now and where he was last October, man, it's two totally different guys, and that's what's exciting about him. He's getting better offensively. We won't count on him to score a bunch of points, but he's kind of a fill-in-the-blanks guy. He can rebound some. He can get to the free throw line and score. He can get to the rim and score. He probably will guard the other team's best. He can do a bunch of different things, and that's going to be what's going to make him the most beneficial to us. So far, he stepped up to that challenge. I've been excited. I've been happy with him.
This is the first time since I've been doing games I've looked at a roster and not seen Darren Hood's name on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys on there. Darren and Dre, and I mean, it seemed like those four guys were here my whole 10 years. They were for the years. Every year I was here, we had a Hood or a Simmons or an Andres on our roster. I guess we still have an Andres on our roster.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of in a different capacity.
What will Dre's role with the team be this year?
Just about everything. He'll be a lot like Dane. He'll be a fill-in-the-blanks guy. It could be anything from running to get Coach Jackson's dry cleaning to watching film and cutting tape. I think Dre's cutting tape with Coach Holloway right now.
Yeah,
so
good.
He'll have a wide range of things he'll do. He's just trying to learn. He's done a heck of a job at this point.
How about when he came in here and he was just this deep-voiced freshman who was learning how to play inside?
Yeah, that's probably all he was, just a deep voice. But as he's gotten older, he's matured a lot. His game matured a lot. He got better. We counted on him a lot, especially his junior and senior year.
Coach, let's look at this schedule this year. And I was talking with Coach McMillan. You guys don't shy away from a tough schedule, that's for sure.
No, we never have. We probably never will. I don't mind playing people. I don't mind going on the road. I don't mind putting these guys in tough environments. I think all that stuff prepares us for the OVC, which is the most important.
You play Webster Friday. That's an 11 a.m. game. That's right. That's in the morning. School kids in the exhibition game. School kids from all over West Tennessee, some from Kentucky too, or just West Tennessee will be coming to the game, and we invite the fans to come out too. What can we expect against Webster?
Hopefully expect a big crowd from all our kids. That's always a great game
and
for
a
our
loud
guys,
crowd.
especially. Yeah, I mean, our guys kind of see how much they mean to not only the community but to the schools also. I mean, I hope we come out and play better than some of the last couple of days of practice, to be honest with you. I think we'll play a lot of guys to try to figure out rotations and who can play with who and who can't play with who. And hopefully we'll be better defensively than we've been. But the main thing on Friday is just to get the guys to put the uniforms on, get them in front of some people, get them to learn to execute in an environment where there are a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully we can do that, get that one done, and then move on to the next one.
The great thing, I think, for the kids, for many of them, it will be their first basketball game at that level to see. First time for some on a college campus. For you, what is the first game you remember seeing in person? And you came from a basketball family, so it's probably a cheap question to ask you.
Man, the first game I remember seeing in person was probably way back in the day. I saw Dr. J play once. We used to live in Flanders, New Jersey, and we lived in Pennsylvania, is where I was born. Then we moved to Flanders, and we'd take the subway over there to Philly, and we'd watch Dr. J. And so one of the earliest basketball memories I have is the dunk contest. Edgar Wilson, Larry Nance, Dr. J was in it,
yeah.
And Larry Nance won it with the 2-ball dunk. And I remember how hard Edgar Wilson played with the Spurs, how he used to dunk the ball, and the basket felt like it looked like it was going to break.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my earliest basketball memories, and then from there, I remember going to my brother's games and, sitting through halftime whereby all the other kids were running around the gym and me just talking to Dad, asking him questions about the game and just trying to learn. But those are probably my earliest ones.
And that's so awesome to see you light up when you talk about that, because you know how blessed you are to still be with basketball every day of your life.
Oh, man, just so fortunate. Just so fortunate, so blessed. I couldn't sit here and tell you where I'd be without it. Who knows what I'd be doing, but there's been a lot of times, especially on some of our road trips, that I walk out of my hotel room and just think, man, look where basketball has brought me. I get to walk in and play against Louisville. I get to play against Duke or Illinois or whoever it is. Just the places I've come and how good the game's been to me. It's just been amazing. Almost every good thing that's happened in my life has happened because of basketball. I met my wife because I was coaching basketball, and just those kind of things. So I
met your friend Chris Brinkley.
I met my friend Chris Brinkley in our record-breaking show, our number one show for the third year, one of many.
You're a St. Louis guy, too. Did you watch the World Series?
Didn't miss an inning.
Yeah, how about Game 6?
Most unbelievable baseball game I've seen in my whole life. And I've seen a lot of them. I've seen Mike LaValliere hit one out of Busch Stadium.
I remember
foul
that.
Ball.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Ozzie make some great catches. I remember the '85 game when Ozzie hit one out, and Jack Buck said, "Go crazy, folks, go crazy," and us going crazy, running up and down the street. But most exciting, best baseball game that I've seen in my whole entire life. I can't even put it into words. Danny was asleep, and I stood up and watched the last 3 innings. I just couldn't sit down. I felt like I played.
Yeah. No, it was, yeah. And you know what? I think that baseball lends itself to that kind of odd excitement because of the pace, because you have time more to think about it. Plus, there is no clock.
Right. Yeah, there's no clock. But I also think on the flip side, it's the build-up. When you're in the 9th inning, it's not just 1 out. There's 3 outs. And so when they get the first out, you're kind of like, man, we got 2 more outs. We got to do something. We got 2 more outs. And then you get the second out. And you're thinking, golly, we got to do something. We got 2 more outs. We're down 2 runs. And then you got 2 strikes and 2 outs in the last game of your season, and you're going crazy. So it's just like a clock running down.
Kind of, yes.
It's just in a different form.
But you can keep it from running. You can keep it. You can control it.
Yes.
And they were down to their last strike twice in that game.
Yeah, unbelievable. Just being from St. Louis and knowing what the city's going through at that time made it even more special to me. In Game 6, I can tell you exactly the scene on the landing right by Busch Stadium. It was packed. It was cold. People were standing around doing nothing. You see an absolute stranger who come up and give you a hug, slap your 5 like you guys been friends forever.
Yeah. And you're right. What impressed me the most when ESPN was showing the shot was outside of Busch Stadium, not inside of Busch Stadium.
And they were there for 9 innings.
Yes.
They didn't leave.
Yeah.
Some people go to the Busch Stadium to stand outside and just listen for Pujols to hit 1 out or David Freese to hit a triple. They just listen. And when they hear everybody else cheer, they get to cheer.
Did you go to a lot of baseball games growing up, Coach?
Oh, man, a bunch of them. That was kind of an event in our house. Most people go to the movies or go to, dinner. They have a family night circled on their calendar. It was a Cardinal game for us. I've always said that some of my best days when I was coaching at Forest Park were in the summers where I'd leave about 12, go play golf, go to open gym, and then go to the Cardinal games.
Oh, what a day.
Great day.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. We'll see you Friday morning.
Thanks, Chris. See you.
We'll be on show number 2 a week from tonight.